Hello, my name is Bobby Benzer, and I am representing the Children's and Teen Services Department here at Baker and Taylor today. You fondly know us as CATS. And welcome to our latest series of Title Talks. This time we're featuring highlights publishing to the children's and teen space from January through June 2022. We've invited our friends from various publishers to present their own lists. Each of them has chosen a category to focus on: board books and picture books, easy readers, beginner chapter and middle grade, and young adult. But they've also shared highlights with us beyond that, and we're creating a comprehensive selection list for each category, which will live on Title Source 360 in the Children's and Teen Selection List area and under the Title Talks header. There are many, many wonderful titles publishing this season that span multiple trends and covered within the titles here. Books about community, social emotional skills, funny story time reads, awesome graphic novels, books that emphasize diversity and inclusion, and much, much more. I hope you have fun and enjoy watching and learn a lot from it. Any questions or comments, you know where to reach us. Just a couple housekeeping items before we get started. CAT's housekeeping items that I thought may be relevant to all of you watching. One, realizing it's the end of 2021, it's cold outside, but I'm already thinking summer, and I hope all of you are dreaming of warm and fun and reading under a shady tree as well. You might even be starting to plan your summer 2022 programs. If you are, please reach out to us. We have a lot of resources, a lot of activity kits, downloadables, et cetera, that might help you out. We also have a formalized program that offers libraries discounted paperbacks and board books to use as giveaways and prizes. And for the second year in a row now, we are also offering a series of live virtual author events for libraries and patrons to enjoy. They're absolutely free and open to you and your community. Last year we had a great series of authors. We had Victoria Jameson and John Gallagher. We had Nicola and David Yoon, and we're expecting a really great lineup that we're finalizing right now, and we'll have more information about in the new year. And then secondly, I'm really excited to announce, if you are a fan of our pre-bind program and have been ordering our pre-binds for a long time, you might be really excited to learn that we are going back to our original name, and we are rebranding under our Paw Prints brand, and that is coming back to the fold, to the marketplace in January 2022. So just a little bit of exciting news to close out the end of 2021. As always, we thank you for your partnership, your business, your kindness and friendship, and we also appreciate everything that you do for your community and your patrons. And with that, I really hope you enjoy this series of Title Talks. Any questions at all, reach out, cats@baker-taylor.com. Enjoy and happy reading.
Hello, everyone. My name is Jeff Tegg. I'm the Vice President of Client Services at Baker & Taylor Publisher Services. BTPS is the distribution division of Baker & Taylor. We represent about 60 publisher clients into the North American market. Most of our clients are from Canada and the US, but we do have a few from Europe, Asia, and South America. Most of our publishers are small to mid-size. We work very closely with the teams at Baker & Taylor to help get the voices of our clients' authors into our culture. I wanted to thank Bobby and her team at Children's and Teen Services for the opportunity to highlight a few of our key forthcoming titles. I also want to thank the entire library community for your unceasing dedication to serving communities nationwide and providing information, enrichment, and entertainment to countless patrons. You are a key cornerstone of our democracy. Thank you. Okay, on to present two middle grade readers that we are very excited about. We are delighted to be releasing a new middle grade fantasy/adventure title from the iconic Daniel Pinkwater. This is being published by Tachyon out of San Francisco and will release in April. Daniel has been writing children's books for more than 4 decades, if you can imagine that. Among them are the Big Orange Splot, the Hoboken Chicken Emergency, the Mrs. Noodle Kugel series, and his most recent title, also published by Tachyon in 2020, The Adventures of a Dwargish Girl, which received glowing booklist and SLJ reviews. Pinkwater is a regular contributor on NPR's Weekend Edition, as well as All Things Considered. Neil Gaiman referred to him as a magic that's not like anyone else's. Daniel is an absolutely delightful human being and has been a joy to work with. In Crazy in Poughkeepsie, he brings his zany wit and wisdom to a gentle, middle-grade fantasy adventure following a kid's off-the-beaten-path journey. It features a thoroughly unfocused spiritual guide, a not-quite dwarf from folklore, a graffiti artist, a ghost whale, and mystical shenanigans in abundance. The text is peppered with whimsical black and white illustrations from award-winning illustrator Aaron Rainier. This is a rollicking tale that will be enjoyed by kids ages 10 to 13 everywhere. Next up, we have Book 3 in the Meena Mystery Investigates series from Sweet Cherry Press. These are light-hearted, witty mysteries featuring an intrepid schoolgirl detective and soon-to-be private eye. The 2 previous titles featured on this slide received great booklist and SLJ reviews and were featured in Baker & Taylor's Growing Minds. In the case of The Bicycle Thief, school is out for the summer, but Meena and her sleuth friends remain on the watch as a new skate park is opening in town and there's been a rash of bicycle thefts. Meena and her team are on the case. The 240 pages of text are artfully broken up with comic-style illustrations of things like case files and character profiles. It is a story in format perfect for reluctant readers and for fans of the Accidental Detective series. Finally, I wanted to briefly introduce you to a few of the children's publishers that we represent. Innovation Press is located in Washington State and run by a remarkable woman. I am sure you recognize these titles, especially the Zoe and Sassafras series, which has won multiple awards and is on many state reading lists. Book 9, Wishy Poofs and Hiccups, comes out at the end of 2021. Flower Pot Press has 2 offices, one in Toronto and one in Nashville. They publish a range of fiction and nonfiction books in board book format, picture book format, and as well as paperback. Let Your Light Shine is a new book from Grammy Award winner Keb Mo and comes out in May of 2022. Tiny Seed Publishing is located in Adelaide, Australia. They publish numerous series of whimsical board books with adorable illustrations. They're coming out with 2 more in 2022, The Adventures of Silly Pig and Little Monster. Nomad Press is located in White River Junction, Vermont. They publish educational nonfiction titles for kids ages 6 to 16. All of their titles include simple activities to make learning come alive for readers. They're great books to have on hand for any hands-on activities at your library. And last but not least, Bushel and Peck, which is located in Fresno, California. They're a relatively new publisher who has started to grow very rapidly. They routinely get reviewed in Booklist, SLJ, Kirkus, PW, and Shelf Awareness. They publish fiction and nonfiction, and I'm very excited about the release of When You Open a Book. It's a dreamlike celebration of imagination inspired by reading. In closing, I want to thank all of you again for your invaluable service to your communities. Feel free to contact me anytime with questions or if you would like any samples to examine. It's been a true privilege to present today. Many thanks.
Hello, my name is Kathleen Rourke, and I am very happy to present to you 5 forthcoming middle grade titles from Candlewick Press. In a fantasy adventure every bit as compelling and confident in its world building as her Newbery Honor book, A Wish in the Dark, Christina Soontornvat explores a young woman's struggle to unburden herself of the past and chart her own destiny in a world of secrets. The Last Mapmaker, a vivid and suspenseful high-seas adventure set in a Thai-inspired fantasy world, is a thought-provoking examination of wealth and class, colonialism and environmentalism, and personal responsibility. Part friendship story, part thriller, The View from the Very Best House in Town is an elegant, original novel introducing an exciting new voice in middle-grade fiction. Indian-American debut author Mira Trahan's fresh and distinct writing will draw comparisons to Rebecca Steed's and Pam Munoz-Ryan's. This remarkable debut featuring neurodiverse and racially diverse characters was inspired in part by the author's own family. The View from the Very Best House in Town explores themes of prejudice and classism as it delves into the mysteries of what makes a person a friend and a house a home, and has already received some wonderful advance praise, including from Newbery medalist Linda Sue Park, who wrote, "Asha and Sam are among the most memorable characters I've ever encountered. In meeting them, young readers will find their worlds expanded and their hearts enlarged." After 11 young adult novels, best-selling and award-winning author Nancy Werlin casts a brilliant new spell in Healer and Witch, a middle-grade historical fantasy for fans of classic fare. Werlin's first story for middle-grade readers tackles and transcends traditional fantasy tropes. Can a young woman, gifted with magic, learn to manage her powers and claim her strength without violence? Set in medieval France, this powerful and beautifully crafted coming-of-age fantasy is perfect for young fans of Karen Cushman, Lloyd Alexander, Kelly Barnhill, and Delia Sherman. In The Lucky Ones, award-winning author Linda Williams Jackson pulls from her own childhood in the Mississippi Delta to tell the story of 11-year-old Ellis Earle, who dreams of a real house, food enough for the whole family, and to be someone. Centered around the historical touchstone of Robert Kennedy's Southern Poverty Tour, the author tells a detail-rich and poignant story with memorable characters, sure to resonate with readers, especially those who have ever felt constricted by their circumstances. The Lucky Ones is a heartwarming story about the life-changing power of good books, good teachers, and good people. Loki, A Bad God's Guide to Being Good, by Louis Stoll, is written in diary style and packed with doodles. The witty text and hysterical drawings will keep readers in stitches from start to finish, and is perfect for young readers who may feel intimidated by dense text. The Marvel version of Loki took Disney Plus by storm in June 2021 in a much-anticipated series, setting the stage perfectly for young readers who might want to explore the character of Loki more in this first title in the Bad God's Guide to Being Good series, so stay tuned for more.
Riley Flynn is alone. It feels like she's been on her own since 6th grade, when her best friend Emily ditched her for the cool girls. Girls who don't like Riley. Girls who decide one day to lock her in the science closet after hours, after everyone else has gone home. When Riley is finally able to escape, however, she finds that her horror story is only just beginning. All the school doors are locked, the windows won't budge, the phones are dead, and the lights aren't working. Through halls lit only by the narrow beam of her flashlight, Riley roams the building, seeking a way out, an answer, an explanation. And as she does, she starts to suspect that she isn't alone after all. While she's always liked a good scary story, Riley knows that there's no such thing as ghosts. But what else could explain the things happening in the school? The haunting force that seems to lurk in every shadow, around every corner. As she tries to find answers, she starts reliving moments that brought her to this night. Moments from her own life, and a life that is not her own. From John David Anderson, author of Posted, comes a ghost story pulled from the darkest shadows of middle school, and a tale of one girl's attempt to survive them and reckon with a haunting past. Mason and Ty were once the very best of friends. like two nerdy sides of the same coin, until 7th grade when Ava Petrakis came along. Now Mason can trace everything bad in his life to that terrible fight they had over the new girl. The one thing he'd give anything for is a do-over. As a science kid, Mason knows do-overs are impossible, so he can't believe it when he wakes up from a freak accident and finds himself magically transported back to 7th grade. His parents aren't yet divorced, and his beloved sheepdog is still alive. Best of all, he and Ty haven't had their falling out yet. It makes no scientific sense, but Mason is determined to use this second chance to not only save his friendship and his dog, but to do other things differently. There's just one person he'll be avoiding at all costs, Ava. But despite his best efforts, will he be able to stop the chain of events that made his previous life implode? Gordon Corman is definitely our strongest-selling, non-series middle-grade author, with adventure-based, humorous stories that appeal to kids of all stripes. Ever since her mother's death, Keela feels every bit as broken as the shards of glass known as mermaids' tears that sparkle on the Caribbean beaches of St. Rita. When Keela and her friend Lissy stumble across an ancient-looking comb in a coral cave, with all that she's already lost, Keela can't help but bring home her very own found treasure. Far away, deep in the cold ocean, the mermaid Ophidia can feel that her comb has been taken, and despite her hatred of all humans, her magic requires that she make a bargain, the comb in exchange for a wish. But what Keela wants most is for her mother to be alive, and a wish that big will exact an even bigger price. This is an incredibly beautiful and moving middle-grade debut with a diverse cast and gorgeous island setting. It is set against the backdrop of Caribbean folklore and explores themes of grief and redemption while weaving in elements of magic that make it so compelling for this age group. We're so happy to have this book from Lisa Stringfellow and are very eager to see what she writes next. 11-year-old Aurora Petrequin's best friend has never spoken a word to her. In fact, Frenchie Livernois doesn't talk. Aurora is bouncy, loud, and impulsive, a big old blurter. Making friends has never come easily. When Frenchie, who is autistic, silently chose Aurora as his person back in 3rd grade, she was all in. In fact, she chose him back. They made a good team, sharing their love of the natural world in coastal Maine. In the woods, Aurora and Frenchie encounter a piebald deer, a rare creature with a coat like a patchwork quilt. The piebald is alluring and mysterious. Whenever it appears, Aurora feels compelled to follow. At school, Aurora looks out for Frenchie, who has been her classmate until this year. One morning, Frenchie doesn't make it to his classroom. Aurora feels she's to blame. The entire town begins to search, and everyone wonders, how is it possible that nobody has seen Frenchie? It's always so great to have a new book from Leslie Connor. Best friends Isaac and Marco already know 6th grade is going to change their lives, but it won't change things at home, not without each other's help. This year, athletically gifted Isaac plans on finally keeping up with his schoolwork. Better grades will surely stop Isaac's parents from arguing all the time. Meanwhile, academically gifted Marco plans on finally winning his father's approval by earning a spot on the school's basketball team. But will their friendship and support for each other be enough to keep the two boys from falling short? We were so thrilled to publish Ernesto Cisneros' debut, Ephraim Divided, which won the Pour Belpré Children's Author Award as well as accolades from booksellers and librarians alike. Every day in Fawn Creek, Louisiana is exactly the same until Orchid Mason arrives. There are 12 kids in the 7th grade in Fawn Creek Middle School. They've been together all their lives, and in this small factory town where everyone knows everything about everyone, that's not necessarily a great thing. There are 13 desks in the 7th grade classroom, and that's because Renadine's father got a promotion, and the family moved to Grand St. Lodge, the nearest big town. Rennie's desk might be empty, but Rennie still knows their secrets and is still pulling their strings. When Orchid Mason arrives and slips gracefully into Rennie's chair, the other 7th graders don't know what to think. Orchid, who was born in New York City but just moved to Fawn Creek from Paris, seems to float. Her dress skims the floor. She's wearing a flower behind her ear. Fawn Creek Middle might be small, but they have their tightly knit groups. The self-proclaimed God Squad, the jocks, the outsiders, just like any place else. Who will claim Orchid Mason? Who will save Orchid Mason? Or will Orchid Mason save them? This story is set in small-town Louisiana, inspired by the town where the author grew up. The themes here are ones that Erin Entrada Kelly handles so beautifully: friendship, family, bullying, coming of age, empathy and kindness, and staying true to your dreams. Erin won the 2018 Newbery Medal for Hello Universe. Arif is excited for his journey to reunite with his father in Ann Arbor, Michigan. He makes a friend on an airplane, wonders what Michigan will be like, and starts school in the United States. While Arif misses his grandfather, his Sidi, he knows that his home in Oman will always be waiting for him. Award-winning author Naomi Shihab Nye's sequel to The Turtle of Oman explores immigration, family, and what it means to feel at home in a place. This is a wonderful choice for reading aloud and a must-have for younger middle-grade readers. We're so happy to be publishing this wildly successful trilogy from B.B. Alson. B.B.'s first Amari book received 4-starred reviews and was on both the Indie bestseller list and the New York Times bestseller list. After finding her brother and saving the entire supernatural world, Amari Peters is convinced her first full summer as a junior agent will be a breeze. Between the fearsome new head minister's strict anti-magician agenda, fierce junior agent rivalries, and her brother Quentin's curse steadily worsening, Amari's plate is full. So when the secretive League of Magicians offers her a chance to stand up for magician kind as its new leader, she declines. She's got enough to worry about, but her refusal allows someone else to step forward, a magician with dangerous plans for the League. This challenge sparks the start of a great game, a competition to decide who will become the Knight brothers' successor and determine the future of magician kind. The great game is both mysterious and deadly, but among the winners' magical rewards is Quentin's last hope. So how can Amari refuse? We don't usually spend too much time talking about second books and previews, but this character has been such a winner so far, and fans are eager for the next installment. After the impostor's reign of terror, the dawn of a new age is upon the warriors' clans, one of peace, unity, and change. Now, as a new generation of warriors rise, including a young ThunderClan apprentice descended from the legendary Firestar, leaders from the 5 clans agree that the warrior code must be reformed if that harmony is to be upheld. But when tragedy strikes River Clan, old fears give rise to new tensions, unless one young medicine cat apprentice can use her unusual connection with StarClan to calm the coming storm. It is exciting to see the warriors' story arcs continue after all these years for fans old and new. Bree was excited for her first day at her new school, Eneth Brigda, home to the mighty manatees, that is, until she was forced to take the only elective that would fit her schedule, the dreaded Swim 101. Up until this point, the thought of swimming made her queasy, but now she's forced to dive headfirst into one of her greatest fears. Lucky for her, Etta, an elderly occupant of her apartment building and former swim team captain, is willing to help. With Etta's training, Bree unexpectedly becomes one of the star members of her swim team. Suddenly, Bree now finds herself with her teammates relying on her to turn the failing team around. But that's a tall order when their biggest rival, Holyoke Prep, has a state-of-the-art training facility that Eneth Brigda could never afford. In Swim Team, the middle grade graphic novel debut by cartoonist Johnny Christmas, we learn that the wave of change can start with even the tiniest of ripples.
Welcome to the Spring 2022 Clarion Books title presentation with Baker and Taylor. Following up the smash hit and instant #1 New York Times bestseller, The How and Wow of the Human Body, co-hosts and co-authors Mindy Thomas and Guy Raz take readers on a hilarious and highly illustrated journey through the animal kingdom. Again, based on their #1 Kids podcast, this new volume, Wow in the Wild, will take readers on a fact-filled adventure to explore the most fascinating animals in the world. Feathers, fins, fur, feet, the animal kingdom is made up of nearly 9 million known species, from flying fish to flightless birds. Filled with colorful illustrations, jokes, photos, and quizzes, this book is a call to the wild kids of the world. Sections include Build Your Own Insect, Play Hide and Seek chameleon style, 6 signs you might be a fish. Wow in the World is truly a media movement. Their NPR podcast has been recognized as the leader in the kids' podcast industry and is continually expanding their universe. In summer 21, they launched Camp Wee Wow, a virtual summer camp that offered hands-on, at-home science and nature projects. This month, they're launching a new history podcast, Who, When, Wow. And we are working hard on building a strong publishing program to match, with appealing nonfiction workbooks and an upcoming fact book set to publish in fall 2022. Our incredibly engaged authors, often doing publicity appearances that reach both kids and adults, and they have a massive platform. So please join us as we venture onto land and into the sky and sea to discover the wow of Earth's creatures, both big and small. I will never forget a few years ago, I was chatting with a librarian friend of mine over a very early breakfast and asked what was new in the kids' space, what trends were on the horizon. And she said, kids horror. My eyes widened. Horror? We're talking killer clowns and stolen children, the stuff nightmares are made of? Fast forward a bit, and you all know how that has gone. Affectionately known as the Queen of Tween Scream, Mary Downing Hahn's book sales have skyrocketed in the past 3 years, now reaching $4.5 million across formats. And format, in fact, is exactly what we're talking about today. Took is the very first Mary Downing Hahn title to be adapted into a graphic novel, a market hungry for both middle grade and horror titles. In Took, Daniel doesn't believe the woods behind his new home are haunted by an evil witch and her terrifying beast. But then his little sister disappears, and it's up to him to find her. In addition to the chills and thrills, deeper themes of family, friendship, privilege, and belonging keep readers engaged. Mary Downing Hahn's scary stories have delighted readers for decades, and her fans span generations. They and we are eager to introduce her books to the next generation of readers in this fantastic new format. We currently have 3 more titles lined up right now, publishing 6 months apart, each showcasing a different illustrator. The series will feature a mix of exciting up-and-coming artists and established names in the comics world, tied together by series branding for an eye-catching uniform look. A Duet for Home is the first standalone book from house author and all-around wonderful human, Karina Jan Glaser, outside of the beloved Vanderbeeker series, perfect for readers of Kelly Yang and Catherine Applegate. A triumphant tale of friendship, healing, and the power of believing in ourselves, the story is told from the alternating perspectives of 2 biracial 6th graders, June and Tyrell, who are living in a homeless shelter. This brings the reality of homelessness to the forefront and offers a setting not commonly explored in children's literature. They bond over their shared love of classical music and work together to oppose a new housing law that might put them and their families out on the street for good. There were over 500,000 homeless people in the U.S. in 2019. Over 35,000 were unaccompanied youths, and those numbers have risen drastically during the COVID-19 crisis, creating an even more urgent need for this representation. The depiction here of unhoused families is nuanced, realistic, and balanced, and Karina explores family conflict and the emerging identities of middle schoolers with her signature, sensitive, and empowering prose, using her many years of firsthand experience working in New York City's largest network of shelters for inspiration and understanding. Karina will go on tour with many school visits and book festival stops included, and we will have an educator guide available. 2-time Newbery Honor recipient Christina Suntornbad had this to say: Karina Jan Glaser doesn't flinch from the truth that too many kids are carrying such heavy weights through this world. With hope and humor, she shows us how friends and found family have the power to lighten the load. This book will make your heart sing. In this modern take on Harriet the Spy, 12-year-old Drew LeClaire knows what it takes to be a great detective and has several solves under her belt. But when her mother runs off to Hawaii with the school guidance counselor, Drew is shocked. How did she miss all of the clues? Drew is determined to keep her family life a secret, but when a cyberbully starts posting embarrassing rumors about other students at school, it's only a matter of time before her secret is out. So she is on the case, profiling the school bullies to determine the culprit even if some of them are her friends. The story also touches on family, friendship, and identity, particularly Drew exploring how she identifies. Our heroine is charming and relatable and has a knack for getting in trouble, but the story also includes a standout ensemble cast of diverse characters with LGBTQ themes woven throughout. One girl's search to solve a mystery, only to discover herself in the process, will have readers rooting for her and working out the mystery for themselves. Katrin Brewery is an educator and a rising star, and she showcases just how well she knows the middle grade space by bringing together the classic mystery genre and our modern romance with true crime podcasts and profilers. The kids are struggling to figure out who they are and, of course, dealing with typical and not so typical family and school drama. She draws from her own experiences with bisexuality and chronic illness to bring the characters to life in her debut novel, Drew LeClaire Gets a Clue. Freddie Ruiz is cursed. While other people may have bad days, Freddie and his family have had bad generations. But when he discovers a family heirloom, a century-old amulet from the Philippines that's supposed to bring good fortune, Freddie thinks his luck is finally about to change. Of course, he's wrong. The spirit of Freddie's cranky great-granduncle Ramon is trapped inside, and the evil spirits responsible for his death have returned with a vengeance. Now, Freddie and his cousin Sharky have 13 days to break the curse that has haunted their family for generations, or be trapped in the amulet forever. Debut author Tracy Badua creates a fresh, contemporary-feeling fantasy world inspired by her own Filipino culture, and the story is a funny, action-packed race against time, but is also a family story at heart, as Freddie bonds with his family, both alive and dead, and learns more about his heritage. With a sense of adventure in the vein of Mulan, Freddie versus the Family Curse is the kind of quintessential middle-grade fiction Clarion is so well known for. And finally, a can't-miss middle-grade novel from debut author Nicole D. Collier about family, friendship, and finding your voice. Just Right Jillian lines up well with some of our best middle-grade realistic fiction from authors like Karen English, Jackie Davies, and Linda Irvin. Jillian is a super smart and sensitive fifth grader with two loving and creative parents. Mom holds workshops designed to empower women in the workplace, and Dad works in big data but is also a talented musician. Everything for Jillian is not perfect, though. We quickly learn that she is still very much grieving the loss of her beloved grandmother, and she is struggling with her self-esteem and sense of identity, something many kids will relate to and find encouraging. Girls will identify particularly well with much of what Jillian is going through. Like many girls her age, she is starting to put herself and others into carefully defined boxes. She wavers between wanting to express her creativity, like by styling her hair in different ways, and being just Jillian, and also wanting to blend in and be accepted by the other girls at school, namely Rashida, her nemesis. Jillian is invited to participate in a school-wide academic competition, which means she has to go up against Rashida. And notably, we see a foe-turned-friend dynamic, and a great female friendship prevails. Jillian struggles with speaking up, but through the competition and her evolving friendships, she learns that taking risks makes life more fulfilling. Jillian's character development mirrors that of the eggs in her classroom's incubator, and she is also trying to break out of her shell. This book is full of great kids and supportive adults with rich backgrounds who find healthy and positive ways to work through problems. The message is one of self-acceptance, self-expression, empathy, resilience, and friendship. The writing is so fun with just the right amount of slang and cultural references to make it feel contemporary. If parents and teachers don't know what it means to hit the whoa, the upper elementary kids who will read this book certainly will. Nicole Collier's experience as a teacher is evident. She knows these characters and her readers, and she helps give them a language to talk about what they are feeling and thinking. And the cover is perfect. Readers who finish this book will understand what a triumphant cover this is, with Jillian in her purple pocket dress, wearing her hair in power puffs, and holding a newly hatched chick. Thank you very much.
Hello, this is Jody Stigliano, and I'll be presenting Scholastic's Spring 2022 Middle Grade List. And what a list it is. Hummingbird by Natalie Lloyd. This is Natalie Lloyd at her best. It also happens to be her most personal story to date. 12-year-old homeschooled Olive is tired of being seen as fragile just because she has osteogenesis imperfecta, otherwise known as brittle bone disease. So she's thrilled when she finally convinces her parents to let her attend public school. She's always longed to make friends. Then Olive hears whispers about a magical wish-granting hummingbird. It'll be the solution to all her problems. If she can find the bird and prove herself worthy, the creature will make her most desperate secret wish come true. Olive can't solve the mystery on her own, so she teams up with some unlikely allies who help her learn the truth about the bird. And on the way, she just might learn that our fragile places lead us to the most wonderful magic of all. Hope, bravery, resilience, and joy, these are all lessons that we want to instill in our child. There's a serious lack of disability representation in middle grade, which makes this magical story about a wheelchair-using protagonist more urgent than ever. Natalie's books have received a constellation of starred reviews and made it onto numerous state lists. We are so excited to publish this book. Moonflower by Kaysen Callender. Drawn from the author's own experience through depression as a young person, this carefully orchestrated, unique novel is deeply spiritual. Moonflower will change you to think beyond traditional storytelling, to consider middle grade narratives in new ways, to reach, to weep, to discover, to cheer this feat of nuanced writing that speaks directly to the heart. Moon has been plunged into uncertainty and confusion. They travel to the spirit realms every night, hoping never to return to the world of the living. But when the realm is threatened, it's up to Moon to save the spirit world, which sparks their own healing journey through the powerful, baffling landscape that depression can cause. Slowly, Moon grows toward hope and wholeness, that our souls emerge when we discover and fully accept ourselves. Kaysen Callender is at their best, creating a world that addresses underrepresented population of readers, middle school children struggling with depression. This novel is a great discussion starter for families and classrooms. Alice Austen Lived Here by Alex Gino. Sam is very in touch with their own queer identity. They're non-binary, and Sam is lucky to have the support of their family. When Sam's home borough of Staten Island opens up a contest for a new statue, Sam finds the perfect subject, photographer Alice Austen. Her house had been turned into a museum, and she lived with a female partner for decades. Soon, Sam's project isn't just about winning the contest. It's about discovering a rich queer history that Sam is a part of, a queer history that no longer needs to be quiet as long as there are kids like Sam to stand up for it. This book shines a light on the wonderful works and fascinating life of the real Alice Austen. Alex Gino is beloved by librarians. George won the Lambda Literary Award as well as the Stonewall Award. Caprice by Co Booth. With extreme sensitivity and honesty for middle grade readers, Co Booth has written a painful but ultimately healing novel about finding support from your parents and friends, articulating your truth, and choosing your own path. This should be an exciting time for Caprice. She has been offered a place at the school of her dreams, but this great opportunity coincides with a lot of internal doubt and the disturbing news that her long estranged grandmother has fallen ill. As Caprice tries to figure out her future, she is pulled back toward her past and the abuse she endured from her uncle when she was little, an abuse she's never told anyone about. Co Booth has a passion for emotional honesty, and we are so excited to welcome her back to our middle grade list. Coming Up Cuban by Sonia Manzano. 15-time Emmy Award winner and Purell Belpré honoree Sonia Manzano examines the impact of the 1959 Cuban Revolution on 4 children from very different walks of life. In the wake of a new regime in Cuba, Ana, Miguel, Zaluma, and Juan learn to find a place for themselves in a world forever changed. In a tumultuous moment of history, we see the lasting effects of a revolution in Havana, the countryside, Miami, and New York. Through these snapshot stories, we are reminded that regardless of any tumultuous times, we are all forever connected in our humanity. This story addresses the inner lives and growth of children in the wake of major social, political, and cultural upheaval. Sonia Manzano remains a household name after over 40 years playing Maria on Sesame Street. Thank you so much, and please reach out if you have any questions.